Yo, what's going on, guys? Versal here, and today we're going over a 19th place Jurrac Ryugi deck profile from the New Haven, Connecticut regional this past weekend. Even though it's technically old format now, I still think it's worth going over. Just kind of show you that the deck is capable of doing well in like a regional setting. There's been people in the past that have told me that they've like just missed out getting their invite by like one win. So just figured it'd be worth showing either way, and then kind of talk about some things that you could potentially change going forward. But the deck is good enough to do well, and I've been saying I think it's the best version of Jurrac for a while, and I still think that's true. So big shout out to my guy Daniel for getting it done. He's somebody that's in the Dino Discord as well, and somebody that I've done like private deck theory with in the past for like other versions of the deck. So it's really cool to see somebody get their invite with this deck, and shout out my guy Matt for getting his invite at the same regional as well. But yeah, I'll go over like some of the stuff in his rounds first before I get into the deck. So it was an 8-round regional. There was like 200 to 300 players. He got 19th, and he lost 2 rounds out of the 8. The first loss was round 1, funny enough, and it was against Jurrac Fire King. So I'm sure there wasn't too many people in the room playing Jurrac, and they just happened to play each other. And it was actually somebody that's subscribed to me and watches a lot of my videos and is commenting in them a lot. So shout out to him. It was funny that he told me afterwards, without even like knowing, that the Jurrac Ryugi deck actually ended up getting the invite. So that was funny to hear. Then his other loss was to Christian K9. He got Mjolnir locked twice, so it kind of is what it is at that point. But thankfully that's gone, even though that deck is still doing cringe locks either way. But yeah, those were his 2 losses. I think Fire King is a weird matchup for this deck for sure. And then Mjolnir is, there's not much you can do if you go second against those type of decks. And speaking of going second, out of these 8 rounds, he only won 2 dice rolls, which I think is pretty impressive. Just kind of shows that this deck is capable of going second and winning games when you go second. Sometimes it can be hard, but you definitely have a chance. And I think his deck list, since he decided to play 60 to fit in more non-gen, helped him out in this since he lost so many dice rolls. But before I get into the list, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, definitely do that now. Drop a like, comment, notifications, all that good stuff. It all helps me out. And if you're interested in Dinosaur playmat or these sleeves, check out finalsaga.de. And if you decide to buy anything, use my code VERSAL5 for 5% off your order. I'll leave a link in the description. So his list was 60 cards. It was really similar to the last Jurrac Ryugi deck profile that I posted. He just decided to bump it from, I forgot exactly what number mine was at. It was somewhere between like 50 to 54. And then he just decided to bump it up to 60 to fit in some more non-engine and some other cards. So, but for the most part, it was pretty similar. But we'll start off with the Dino stuff. For the Jurracs, got 3 Stego, 3 Megalo, 2 Aolo for the Jurrac stuff. Then for the other Dinos, we got 2 Ovi, 1 Misk, 1 UCT, and then 3 Fossil Dicks. So as you can see here, it's pretty standard lineup. He opted not to play the Jurrac Volcano, which I talked about in the last video. I don't think the card is necessary to play in the main deck for sure. And I decided to not play it in the side deck at all either now. And he did the same thing. I think the card's just unnecessary, and he came to the same conclusion. I think in like the pure Jurrac deck, you still have to play it, but in this version, I think it's just not a card that you need to play at all. But this is all just like pretty normal like ratios. We don't really need to go over these at all. Then for the Ryugi stuff, a lot of this is pretty normal as well. 3 Misva, 3 Anva, 2 Hakva, 2 Emva. He decided to play the 3rd Anva because he's also playing the back row stuff. So I was playing 2 in my list just because I decided to cut that stuff. But if you are playing that, you definitely should play 3 of this. I asked him how many people like didn't read this card properly and just like chain stuff that they shouldn't have to your spells, and he said that only 1 person like chained a Fua to the war zone while this was up, which obviously like if you know what these cards do, you just use the Fua before this gets activated, so it can't get negated with that. But a lot of people don't really like read that. So yeah, 3 Rising, 3 Melody. So like these are like these 9 and this one right here are all like the 1-card starters from the Ryugi portion of the deck. Then like these cards in general, just like when you go second and you can resolve this and just plop these 3 big bodies out, like that applies a lot of pressure in itself. So I think these cards just kind of, as long as they're resolving, like they're applying a lot of pressure, giving you that extra push going second, which like the pure deck doesn't have. And then it's just 12 more 1-card starters. Even though you do have to play some bricks, I think it's overall the consistency is definitely worth it. And then just the Varudras that you get from these to protect the rest of your plays is very important as well. Then for the last 3 Ryugi cards, he decided to main deck the Wormwinds, the Rivalry, and the End. He said these cards were like fine for him. He likes them, but we talked about it a little bit afterwards, and he said that he's probably going to put them in the side deck moving forward instead of the D barriers, just because like game 1, you don't really need these for the most part. It's really if you win the dice roll, so you're going first, you draw a Ryugi starter and it resolves and your opponent Fuwalos you. That's like the main time that you miss these, because if you're resolving your combo otherwise, like if there's no Fuwa, these cards are just win more a lot of the time. They are nice to have, but usually what you have is plenty to win either way. But post side, if you want to bring these in to go first with, I think it's definitely valid. But yeah, game 1, we talked about, because he wanted to lower the deck count from 60, just to see the good starters more often. So I think like you just move these to the side, take out 1 set of non-engine, then you're at 54, and then as long as you're like between 50 to 54, I think that's a good number to try to be as close to 90% consistency as possible, if not higher, depending how close you get to 50. So, but yeah, he liked these 3 cards, especially the Rivalry. Said was like the best one of the 3, and I can definitely agree with that, because this one's like just the easiest one to kind of get going. Like this one's kind of conditional on you doing some other things. The Wormwinds, like the floodgate part, isn't like that great in every matchup, so just a pop is always good. But that's it for the Ryugi stuff. For the non-engine, start with like the spells. He played the 1 Call By, the 1 Talents, then 2 copies of Thrust. He said that Thrust was probably like the worst card in the deck, which I can definitely understand that. I didn't love this card in this deck as well after I was trying it. Sometimes it's good, but I think you'd rather just have like something else that just always is going to do something without your opponent needing to do something first. Then he played 3 Droplets, and similar to my last list, he was also playing the 3 Chalices. Moving forward, I don't know how good like the Chalice specifically is, because I think there's going to be a lot of Branded, and Droplet is like way better against that, because you can actually stop the lock with that. But he likes Chalice more than Droplet just because of the cost of Droplet can be annoying sometimes, especially when you have to send stuff in the middle of the turn. Pretty much like I said in the last deck profile, like being able to hit targeting stuff on the field like in the middle of their turns is really good, but sometimes the Droplet's awkward with that, where the Chalice you can just kind of freely use it without having to worry about your card economy, which is nice. But yeah, moving forward, he said that he might cut one of these to the side or keep them in, maybe play Super Poly instead of something like the Thrusts are going to probably move out. But I think these are pretty solid though still, and he said they were pretty good for him. And then the rest is just hand traps. He played 1 Magnamut. He said he didn't draw this card much, but when he did, it was against like Fiendsmith, Ryzeal, and it was pretty good. But he said he'd probably side this card moving forward, which I think I agree with. Even though I do think the Bystials in general are pretty decent moving into the next format, but they are not very good against some of the decks, like Draco Tail. Malice is kind of creeping back up. They're not great there, but they're good against like Mitsu. They're good against Yummy if they have like a really bad hand, but typically they're not going to be very good against Yummy. Then 3 Ash, Card's like okay. It's mainly good because it negates this card. Fu is really good. They got 3 Droll. He said this was probably his best non-engine alongside the Impulses. He said both of these were crazy. Moving into the next format, I'm not sure. I love Droll in the main deck based off what I've been seeing from a lot of like spectating my friends play like Dueling Book and stuff. I think there's like a lot of fusion decks like Draco Tail and Branded popping up now, and Droll's not very good against that. So, but for this event, he expected a lot of Mitsuyami, and I definitely would have agreed with that assessment. I was telling my friends who went to that regional that Droll in the main deck I think was a good call for this event as well. But funny enough, he didn't play a single Mitsurugi Yumi somehow, but he still said the card was good for him. And then Impulse is, like, this card's crazy in this deck. It's crazy in any deck if you can play it, like I've been saying. He was fortunate enough to be able to borrow them from somebody, so luckily for him he did, because this card's insane. But yeah, this like the pretty standard non-engine, like for this past event, like these 12 I think were in my deck, and then like the droplets I was playing, like all that kind of stuff, just not the Magnamuts. But yeah, that's 60 cards. Move on to the extra deck. We got 3 Meteors, 3 Esteros, 1 Velveto, and 1 Honorary Jurrac Horn Brute. Then the 1 Chengying. He liked this card a lot, and it's pretty nice that you can make it with the Carnivorous on your turn 3. 1 Arclight, so he's playing Slayer in the side deck, so you can send this to get rid of a Synchro, and then use the Arclight to search your Misfo, because it's a ritual, so pretty cool. 1 Varudras is like one of the main reasons to play the Ryugi stuff. 1 Lagia. You play this instead of Dolka. I think Dolka is better if like you're gonna go into one of them, but they don't really come up either way for the most part. Giga Cannon. He said he didn't make this at all, but I think it's important to play still. Typhon. It's a flex slot, and then Reaper Docus. I'm sure he played this for reasons I've mentioned before. It can be helpful against like Contact C. Sometimes you just need to get dinosaurs in your grave while you're locked for like Conductor, but it's definitely like a flex slot for sure. But yeah, he said he might like consider doing like Super Poly or something like that instead of some of these, but for the most part it's just like pretty like standard. Like all this stuff right here is and this, like these are like mandatory for sure. Now for the side deck, got the 1 Doggerin. It's for Lunalite mainly, but I think it's important to just have a card that you can search, whether it's with like an OV or Warzone specifically. It's just nice to be able to search a going second card with your field spell if you already have like your engine, and this is like the best one against Lunalite. Usually it's not enough by itself, because if you let them play, they're going to end on 2 Lager Dancer potentially. They're going to have like Baguska and stuff, so you still need more, but you need an out to the Lager Dancer or it's just going to be a bad time. 3 Dark Ruler. I think this was like one of the best cards to play if you're expecting a lot of Mitsurugi Yumi, just because it's the single best card against that deck. Yeah, I think you should still play this moving forward. We talked about maybe consider putting this in the main deck, but I'm not sure how I feel about that with, like I said, how much the fusion decks are going to be popping up. It might not be the best. And then he played 3 Lightning Storm, 1 Duster, just for like back row stuff. These cards are just good. And he decided to play 3 Ultimate Slayer. He said he liked this card. I haven't really played it too much this format, so I don't have really an opinion on it, but he said he liked it, so I believe it. Then for the traps, played 1 Impact. I think this card, as far as the Jurrac spell traps go, is definitely the more impactful one. This card can just be really nice to give your board an extra layer. So if something goes wrong and you just have this to set your board up to 1, nuke their field, and then set your Esteros up in the graveyard, I think it's really important to have that extra layer, especially post side. So I definitely agree with siding the impact. And then the last three were 3D barrier, which this was like the go first card of the format, and now it's gone, obviously. But like I said, he's gonna try to replace those three with these, and then those will be like these will be like the going first cards, and then kind of go from there. But yeah, that's the side deck. I don't think there's anything else to really talk about. Kind of went over, you know, some of the changes that can potentially be made, and I think the deck moving forward is probably better, even so, than it was now with the ban list, just because there's going to be less of like the FTK type locks going around, and I think you're going to see more people play board breakers, and Jurrac just plays really well into board breakers, but we'll see how it goes. I still think this deck's really good. I definitely recommend giving it a try, and gonna work on refining it with him probably again. I think he's going to another regional this weekend, so we'll probably talk some more about some of the changes for the new format. But yeah, I want to just show you guys that the deck's capable, and again, shout out my guy Daniel for repping the Dino DNA, getting his invite with it. But yeah, it's gonna be it for this one. Have a nice day. Thanks for watching. Take care. Peace.